Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Outta Savannah. I am so super excited to be here. My guest, Safrianna Lughna, is here, and this is actually our third conversation, but you didn't see the second one. So I'm super excited for her to join me again so that we can have another amazing conversation. And just in case you don't know me, my name is Tammy Morrison, and I am the podcast host of Straight Outta Savannah. And so today we are welcoming Safrianna Lughna. Safrianna, come and join us. Let the people know who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, thank you so much for having me back, Tammy. I know we had such a great conversation last time. It was such a shame that the computer and tech issues, but you know how it goes. So
Yes.
I'm Safrianna Lughna. I am also known as the Queer Spirit Guide. I am an author, speaker, CEO, and transformational mentor, guide, coach, whatever word you want to apply. I like guide.
Yeah.
I'm a retired trauma therapist, and I am just here to help people step into their authenticity and to share the magic of words. So really right now I'm focused on working with my own writing as well as other writers who are trying to bring their transformational message or story into the world.
That is so powerful. That's so powerful because, you are such a multi-talented individual. And that is the thing that I absolutely love, because I love the way you said a retired, what'd you say?
Retired trauma therapist.
A retired Trump.
I mean, it's more or less true. I retired in retired, quote unquote, no retirement savings or anything. It was not a retirement by any standard definition, but I let that go and, built the ramp to let my clients go because doing therapy as a core modality wasn't really right for me anymore because I'm so expansive and multi-passionate and I have intuitive gifts and, can talk to guides and ancestors and all kinds of stuff. And I was like, in the therapy room, that doesn't really fly. And I wanted to be able to be my full self. And that's what I'm here to help other people do is be their full self. So why would I cut myself short?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
feel all that because it it just makes so much sense. I just love the way you put that because that is exactly what I'm saying about what I'm doing. Like I'm
hmm
actually on that path. I've
Yeah.
retired from, my career that is just, that I tired of first.
Yeah. Those traditional careers are really hard for those of us who don't walk the common path or
Yes,
the well-treaded path. Those of
yes,
us that are really trying to forge a new way of being.
yes.
Traditional careers just don't work.
They don't work. And it's I find that it is almost like putting a round peg or a
hmm
square peg in a round hole, whatever
Whichever way that goes,
way
I
it
can never
goes.
keep it straight either.
But one of those, like, forcing the issue is like, no, and I know that in my case, I have really been doing a lot of work around that because to
hmm
me, it's about identity. And I didn't realize how much until I started really journaling and just going into, asking myself, what do I want? What do I like? Because, for years and decades, I didn't feel like I had that option. And
hmm
so when you talk to people that are in that space, because I know those are the people that come to you because of where you are.
hmm
And so when you talk to people that are in that space, what would you say to them? Because for me, it's like I started really like journaling and writing down and diving into um what I really, really, truly desired for myself,
hmm
for my life, myself, in every area, spiritually, financially, physically, all of that. And so I know that that has to be a process that one does in order
hmm
to get that type of clarity. And so, what are some other processes and things that you would suggest that people do in order to get clarity in that area, especially as a multi-passionate? Because that's a whole different. Like for me, I've had different coaches, and but they're not multi-passionate. you know
Yeah,
so that is a whole problem because what happens is they can't even see the vision because they only see this.
right.
You are here.
You have no idea how here I am, like I see the big picture. That's definitely how I operate. Journaling is a great practice. Like I love that you do that and that you've been getting that clarity because it's probably one of the most powerful practices. But,
Yeah.
if you're sitting with, I feel misaligned in my life. I like that you brought up kind of categories because one of the activities that I do, and I usually do this about once a month, is writing down the domains of life. So, career, fitness, health, money, relationships, friendships, etc.
Right.
Like whatever major domains in your life are important. So I'll write those down and then I give them a score 0 to 10 on how satisfied I am with them.
Mm-hmm.
And then write down what would it take to get it to the next number up.
Oh, that's good.
Because the problem is like, let's just say you're working a traditional career, you're in nursing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to work every day and it's just not satisfying. Well, maybe you don't have the means to quit that job right now, but how could you be 1 point more satisfied with being there? That's a micro step versus the I need to take the quantum leap right now to quit the career and make the new plan. So I really say start with the small things that you can really dive into testing, experimenting your alignment with,
Yes.
the things that you can get some control in, right? How are you spending your time? Who are you spending your time with outside of circumstances that you don't maybe have a choice in if you're working that traditional career and you're forced to work with certain coworkers or clients or whatever. So really finding the ways where we can get in tune with ourselves again, whatever domains of life that is in, and to increase them by just 1 point of satisfaction. And that's why I say like every month I do this because some months it slips backwards in categories, right? Like I've never reached and maintained a 10 satisfaction in any area of life. I don't think that, perfection does not really exist on this human plane of existence. So releasing the expectation of perfection and instead moving with flexibility and really that questioning of, is this something I want? Or is this something someone else told me I should want? And I always suggest the question to my clients of just in any given moment, ask, am I enjoying myself right now? And if the answer is no, then why are you doing it? So am I enjoying myself right now?
Mm.
And if I don't, why am I doing it? Right. So you're working that traditional career. You ask, am I enjoying myself right now? No. Okay, well, why are you doing it? Is it because you feel that's the only way you can get by? Is it because that's the only job you believe you'll ever be able to get? Is it because mom wanted you to go into that career when you were 15 and you've stuck with that your whole life? Like asking these deeper questions. And that can just be it can be an internal dialogue, but of course, like I said, journaling is great because it gets it out in a different way, puts us in a different
Yes.
part of our brain and lets us process it differently. So there's so many ways to get into diving into alignment, but
Yes.
definitely journaling, meditating, self conversations, like put your voice recorder on in the car while you're driving, right? And just talk to yourself, why am I doing this? Like what's going
Yes.
on here? And then maybe review that later if you need to. So
Yeah.
those would
I
be
like
just
that.
some quick ones to go with. But yeah, like there's so much pressure that's placed on us to be a certain way, perform to a certain standard, be productive all the time, and that's just not how most of us really A want to be and B are meant to be,
I
right?
was going to say, can we actually do that? Probably not.
Well, and that's something, a book I'm working on in the background right now is called Balancing the Cosmic Divine. That's the working title. And I talk about how we have solar energy and we have lunar energy. Now, society has called this masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
The problem with society calling it this is that we then try to shove people into the box of masculine or feminine, and
Yeah.
we don't think there's any in between. We
Yes.
all have solar energy, and like you can picture the sun, right? The sun rises and sets every day. It's pretty consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the course of the year, it might, the days get a little longer or a little shorter, but for the most part, it's pretty consistent day to day.
Right.
The moon, lunar energy, on the other hand, super variable. Every single day shows a new face. It goes from dark to light and back again in this slow flowing process. Some of us thrive in the every day I get up and I do my stuff and I go to bed and I get up and I do my stuff and I go to bed. Like some of us thrive in that. And some of us need to be in more of that, like, I don't know. Today I'm gonna flow this way, and tomorrow I'm gonna flow that way, and variability and flexibility.
Why you talking about me, girl?
Yeah. And so, that's traditionally associated, of course, with feminine energy, more of that flow, but it's not universally, quote unquote, for women, right? We all possess both of these energies and we need to find our balance. Like for me, there are rituals that I like to do every single day, like the sun rises and sets. And then there are other things, most of me, I'm that lunar flow. I'm all over the place, like completely variable. And the more that I get to know my body, the more I see that there is somewhat of a pattern to it, but it's not the sun rising and setting.
Yeah.
So finding your own unique balance of energy and how that shows up, the problem being that society and our traditional jobs are trying to shove everyone in that lunar or that solar masculine constant do. And
Yeah.
that just doesn't work for everyone. So I think to answer your question, maybe there are some people out there that really thrive on that because
Hmm.
that's how their energy is built. But that is definitely not 100% of people. I'd say that it's like 50% or less, right?
I would agree. Because the thing is you seeing it all the time now. Like it's coming out. Like it
Hmm.
used to be where, it was under the cover and, because everybody was wanting to be in this box or this place and this, doing this thing. And, it's like trends and fads.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to be wearing, I remember what were those things I couldn't stand? Bell bottoms. Couldn't stand them. God knows. I was so glad when they went away, because I'm a short girl and bell bottoms don't look good on short girls, especially
Right.
short, thick girls. I'm like, mm-mm. No, they were so ugly.
Man,
My
I
mom
love bell
fixed them up
bottoms.
for you.
But see, that's why we can't all fit in one box. It's
No.
so silly that society tries to, but it's because of compulsory capitalist culture, right?
Yes.
You've got to produce so you can make money so you can survive. Where in reality, like if we were all just allowed to forage and go forth and like have a little bit of land to work, we could survive. But
It
we've
would work for me. I'm gonna say that. That would
yeah,
work for me because
it would
I
work for
am,
me.
that's actually what I'm creating
Hmm.
is, we bought some land on an island and we are creating that. A
Amazing.
spaces. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, I would like to be in a space that I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like where I am now, I have times when I have to get out of this place. I need to
Hmm.
leave it. I can't be in here.
Yeah.
It's too small, it's too closed, it's in the city. I don't. So
Well,
I
and that,
cultivated.
yeah, that city life's hard too for people that are intuitive and
Okay.
compassionate even. Yeah. And well, because when you're surrounded in a cluster of people that are probably in pain, right? I am very empathic. And when I go into big cities, I feel like this malaise, like just depression and anger. And I'm like, whoa, that's a lot. But we lose sight of the seasons when we're in cities with not a lot of green space, too versus living with the land, we see that there is variation and again, this sort of rise and fall of the seasons. And so then we know it's okay for us to have seasons too. We've really become so pulled away from that.
Well, we become desensitized. It's just like what are the other shit in school? So school shootings.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh my God, another one. It happened
Mm,
again, and that is to me, that is one of the most horrible things. Our kids
yeah.
can't be safe at school.
Oh my gosh. I was a public school teacher for
Oh,
about a
okay.
decade and yeah, like having to do those drills with those kids was demoralizing, terrifying. Like why are we doing this? Why is this the norm? And it is.
Why is
It
it
really is.
happening?
Yeah.
Why do we have what did they call those things? Metal detectors so that people can get into schools. And they had those when I was in high school.
Hmm.
I remember
Yeah.
I was in the 80s. Yeah.
Ugh,
And so yeah. But you think about that, it's the same way in this. It's like we just get desensitized,
we do.
because it is something that used to be horrific when it first started, like 911. That was a horrific event.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine just having heard about it, I was traumatized. And I
Hmm.
wasn't anywhere in the area. I was in South Carolina, I think, watching it on the damn TV.
Yeah.
but it still affected me in that way, is it probably affected all of us in this land.
I mean, most of us that were alive that were above an age where we could remember can remember exactly where we were, right? Trauma really sticks around in the brain.
It's crazy because it's like, what were you doing? I think I did a post about that one year, and I said, do you remember? It was the time, and I said, do you remember where you were? And I just told, I was like, I had gotten off of work, and my sister was blowing my phone up, and I was like, why is this bitch calling me? Because I work night shift, and I need to sleep, and I'm tired. But I had stayed up and cooked dinner, because I would do that sometimes. Before I went to
Yeah.
bed, I would cook dinner because I knew I was going to work, and, make sure my kids have food and all this, and, clean up a little bit and whatever, and then take a shower and go to bed. She's blowing my phone up. I'm like, why is this girl blowing my phone up? So finally I picked up, I'm like, what is the problem? She said, Tammy, turn on the TV, turn on the TV, turn on the TV. So I said, okay. So I
Ugh.
turned the TV on, and there it was. And I was like, what the world is going on?
Yup.
What is happening in the world? But it's like that. It's the same way with trauma of
Mm-hmm.
any type, right?
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like, and as we go, and what I've learned is that as we go and as we grow in this space and in this place, um, we have to really begin to pay attention to our own, the God of our own understanding, and pay attention to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Not only just looking at, how things affect you, but also what did it cause? What did it set off? What was the chain of events that happened afterwards? After you were dealing with this thing, whatever, this trauma, whatever it is. And it could be a big T, little T. I mean, trauma is trauma, right?
Trauma is trauma. Yeah. I mean, I definitely consider myself a trauma expert, from my therapy career. That was my focus. I almost exclusively worked with people with PTSD and CPTSD. And it's
So
been
did you
really,
love that though when you did it?
yes. And
So now, did you do
because
that after teaching or concordant with?
I was in my internship while I was still teaching, but once I actually got my license, I stopped teaching and went full time into therapy. And I was predominantly working with survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, human trafficking. So
Oh,
the heavy stuff. But the
that's
thing
heavy,
is,
girl.
I am a survivor of those things too. And so it was a beautiful process of me doing my own healing work because I was helping other people do their own healing work. And
Yeah.
I am not the kind of practitioner that's like, oh, I'm just gonna ignore my own shit and just carry on, right? Like I was very much that I need to work on myself because my clients can only go as far as I go. And that has maintained even as a guide. It was so important to work with those people because I really got to see how capable we are of not I talk about two stages we can be in. We're either healing or we're healed in healing.
I
The
like that.
difference is when we're healing, we're like in this, I've got to be healing all the time, or I'm just ignoring my healing, like I'm not looking at it. Which is, still life is a process of healing, but we're healed in healing when we get to that point where we're like, oh, I can care about myself and know that the healing is going to be an ongoing process. And to me, that's what core healed is like, I love myself now. I know this is going to be ongoing. There's no end goal. I'm just going to allow it to unfold naturally instead of like the hustle. So I got to see that turning point for people. And it like that
Mhm.
brought that forward as a modality. I've actually written about that in a book, that concept of healed versus healed and healing,
I like that.
because I think it's so true. We're either in denial or suppressed under our own gunk and therefore never going to actually get anywhere.
Yep.
Or we get to that point where we're like, oh, I can do this in my own way. I can be myself. I can love myself, be kind to myself, be compassionate and self-aware. And I will never fully, quote unquote, recover from my trauma. I describe it, trauma, especially really deeply ingrained trauma or ongoing trauma, especially of the kinds that like I've faced, which is interpersonal, like relational, people doing things to us without our consent or people using their power and control to exert over us. It's sort of like back in the day when we had monitors, you had to have a screensaver on the monitor because if you didn't put a screensaver on the monitor and you left something up, it would imprint on the
Yes,
monitor and you
yes.
would have that like shadow image
Yeah,
that
yeah,
every time
yeah.
you turn the monitor on, it's still there. And that's what trauma can be like, is it's just this faint image that's there. But how do you change your response to it? How do you
Yes.
begin to be in a different relationship with it? And so like that's where I'm really glad I've gotten is I'm in such a different relationship with it now that I can talk about it, I can write about it, I can help other people. I can't tell you how many clients I have used a little bit of therapeutic self-disclosure or, guidance and said something to the effect of, I just want you to know that I have been through something similar. And I'm not going to share the details with you because this isn't about me right now,
Right, it's about you.
but it's about you. But I want you to know you're not alone because usually in those kinds of dynamics, they're looking to us for answers and they want to see what's possible. And just that kind of disclosure has created more healing work for my clients than any therapy technique, coaching technique, etc., ever, because I'm able to do it without trauma dumping on them and being like, and then when I was 5, this happened. And no, like, I'm just like, we're talking about your trauma of this nature. I just want you to know you're not alone. I have been through that too. And I know how hard it can be to recover. And I see you and I believe in you. And that's
That
where I saw
that iced the cake.
it. Yeah.
You know, that's that because that's really what you want.
hmm
So I found that okay, so I used to do readings in a metaphysical shop
hmm
once a month and yeah, sometimes twice, but yeah, I had to give that up because it wasn't fulfilling me for number one. And number
hmm
two, the people they want fortune tellers. They don't,
hmm
and
They
and
want
I'm
dating
like
advice.
that too. Or they want to know when their husband's gonna die.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so these kind of things. And I was like, you know what? This is not what I want to do. I'm not enjoying this. I can't do this anymore. And so I think about a month or 2 months ago, I think I told the girl at the shop, I said, I can't do this. I said, I said, I'd rather do healing work. I said, and if people want to come through for that, I said, then, she has a little spot with like a, what do you call it? Massage table
hmm
it, where we can, rent and use. And I said, if people want to come through for that, then I'm here for that. I said,
Yeah.
but I don't want to do this. I
Yeah.
said, because this is just not, and one thing I thought that maybe as I did it, that I would get some clients from it. But no, those people want to come in and they want to pay $50 and get you to tell them their life story.
Yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Audience definitely matters. And that's something, I kind of hit a dead end with my therapy career because I was taking insurance, which insurance does not pay therapists anything. And
Really?
it's
I should know
so
that. I know how they do. They take
yeah, it's
most of the money and give
ridiculously
you a
low.
pittance.
Yep. And sometimes they didn't pay. And so I'd be doing all of this work and then maybe they'd cut me a check, maybe they wouldn't. Insurance still owes me thousands of dollars that I'm probably never going to get paid. Like there was so much that people don't realize behind the scenes. But when you're paneled with an insurance company, you cannot refuse clients that have that insurance if you have availability. There's like a contract
Oh,
law. And so I was trying to switch into more private pay and like taking, out of pocket clients that were more my audience. And I could not get my caseload to a balance where I could take more of those clients to sustain myself because the insurance clients kept coming in and then the insurance is not paying me. And so
well,
I
did you
loved the
do you
work.
file something on that, or how does that work? You just have to
Yeah,
let it go?
oh, call, email, but they don't
Yeah,
respond.
yeah, yeah.
I
That's what
mean, I want to do a whole podcast series on this eventually of because I helped my spouse. My spouse is a licensed clinician as well. And, I'm still a licensed clinician. But because I'd sort of lived the nonprofit, the agency work, the starting my own private practice and getting paneled with insurance, like I'd done all of that. And I can literally like teach people how to do it now because I've done it. But
Are you
I,
creating a course on it?
there's a better one out there that is so comprehensive, which is where I learned a lot of what I learned, and I would recommend therapists go to that. But because that's not my passion. Business coaching is not my passion at
I
all.
got you, girl. I'm feeling you with everything. All that you're saying, you and I are so similar. Because
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to do that.
No, not for me.
I don't want to do it.
Could I make money off of it?
Yeah.
Sure, but no, like I want to make money doing things that light me up. And so my spouse is super passionate about therapy, loves doing it. And so I helped them set up their they them pronouns. I helped them set up a private practice without insurance pay,
Oh,
and they're
good.
doing great.
So they can do what they want to do.
So they can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they were able to use all the tools and tricks that I had learned to establish a practice. And so I'm like, yay for you. Like,
Oh,
I'm
that's
so
perfect.
excited. And now I'm, in this like, okay, I let that go so I can write. And that has been my dream since I've been 6. So I'm so glad I'm there now.
6 for you, and I think I was about 15.
Well, for me, I was in 2nd grade, and my school did some little fair, like craft fair project, and we got to print out, or like we hand drew pictures, and then they put them in that old plastic spiral binding that
Yeah. I remember those.
was so ridiculous. And I got to hold my first little book for the first time, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this for my whole life.
Yeah. I
And
remember that. They
yeah,
actually
and
published them in a little binder book for it was my brother's. I think it was my brother. And I think
yeah.
they actually published theirs in a little hard binder book. It was, 12, 20 pages, 5
Uh-huh.
pages, a bunch of pictures, but it was so cute and it was their own book. I thought that was so
Hmm.
neat.
Yes, and that ignited something for me that I never died out, even though I then went on to be extremely traumatized. I went on to have creative wounds left and right. I went on to be in extreme domestic violence where my writing was torn down. And I'm still here now, like, and I'm writing finally.
Okay. But that's taking you to that place.
Right.
That's the thing for me. It's like all the things, and that's one of the things that I've been doing on this journey, because like I've been, off and on sick, this and that, and all kinds of crap
Hmm.
going on in my body, physical, whatever. And I'm okay. Like I said, people are like, oh, well, I'm sending you healing. I said, you can. I need it. I said, but I know what this is, and I'm okay with it. I said, it's just a navigating journey for me, and I just have to navigate and see, what's the move.
Right.
It's like looking at the chessboard.
Yeah. Our
You look
body's
at the
always
chessboard,
communicating.
it's like you look at the chessboard and you say, should I move that queen right now? Should I move that king? Should I just move one of these pawns? You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
so that's the journey. And it's like, as I go through that, it's like, all right, so what is this lesson for me? And so I've really gotten to the place where I'm asking those questions. Those are the type of questions like, what is this supposed to teach me?
Yeah.
Why did this come through me? And allowing, all of these things. Like I said, it's been crazy, but COVID has been the gift that keeps on giving for me. And
I hear that from so many spiritual entrepreneurs and intuitive people that it really was a breaking point for them in a good way. And
yeah,
I would agree because that was the year that I decided I'm starting my own private practice, and that led me into realize, and oh, I want to let that go. But I was able to build a business that I could then pass off to my partner, my business partner, and say,
which is
run with it.
amazing.
Yeah.
That to me, that's so amazing. It's like, who knew?
Yeah.
You did all that and went through all those things, and now here you are with this perfect, amazing gift for your partner.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's like, as you go and as you grow, you learn everything. I truly believe that everything is always working out for me.
Yes.
I believe that regardless of what, even though things look
Yeah.
crazy, circumstances look stupid, It's like, okay, you're a little stupid, you know, but I'm gonna just overlook you, and I'm not even gonna pay attention to that part.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over here. This is what I'm gonna do. And I find myself looking at some of those some of our spiritual forefathers, I call them, like Neville Goddard and, Florence Scovel Shinn and Reverend Ike, Abraham, I start looking at some of those things and listening to some of those things that they were saying, because I don't know about you, but for me, I didn't immediately geek out on the science part of the spirituality. I did not. I geeked out on the spirituality part. You know what I mean? And I didn't really, I couldn't really understand it until one day I had a Kundalini awakening, and it was the most fabulous thing I have ever felt in my entire life. I mean, I'm not even kidding you. And it opened up so many things for me, and it really like sent me down this rabbit hole of learning, about not only my body, but about other people's bodies, and about, how we can manifest the things that we desire, and how we can get into this energy and this frequency of abundance, and how we can go through and, root out a lot of those neuroplasticities that we did have, that were created because of all of the limiting beliefs that we had and all that. And so I know that this is a journey that you are actually already on as well. And so just share one thing, if you can, to someone that could help them, especially when they're beginning this journey. Like when this journey starts, because you know how this is, this journey hits you in the damn face. Like,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So when that happens, because that's the shit, it's like, and people talk about that dark night of the soul, but to me, I think this is a deeper thing.
Yeah.
I think
Well, we can go through a lot of dark nights.
I was going to say it to me, it's like it took it to a whole nother level. Like it went warp factor 10 or some shit, or 100.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So,
I use the metaphor of the butterfly a lot.
oh yes.
I've written about it left and right, and like it's in everything I do. It's my number one symbolism, and it's so important to remember when you're getting started that if you're getting started for the first time, you are still the caterpillar. Now, once you've done this a couple times, I couldn't even tell you how many like layers of awakening I've been through now. Like it's always, I say it's like adding more layers onto the onion, because we're finding we're bigger and bigger and bigger and greater and greater and greater than we ever realized. But when you're the caterpillar, you have just been eating to survive. So you eat whatever's in front of you, right? And we grow up with often unaligned parents or caregivers who experience their own traumas and may not have dealt with it. And so that's why there's the chrysalis phase, because we've eaten all this stuff that may or may not actually serve us. And then we have to go into the dark night inside our chrysalis, inside of our awakening container, and we have to unmake ourselves. We have to literally undo what we've learned. Right. And figure out a new image. And then what's really important to remember, and this hit me so hard, the first time I consciously knew I was going through this butterfly journey, I was actually in a float tank. And so sensory deprivation, it's black, there's no sound in there. And I just saw this image of the butterfly starting to crack out of the chrysalis, and it's emerging, and its wings are so flimsy. They're still like damp, right? So even when you're breaking out of the chrysalis, there's still this moment of like, what's going on? Who am I now?
I'm not sure.
and then it takes time to let the wings dry and stretch out, and then we'll start to test, and then we can fly. And then we're reborn eventually, and we go back to the caterpillar, and we realize that we've got another thing that we've consumed that we need to unmake, and then we are reborn, and the cycle continues. So know that there's like, you might be simultaneously in multiple parts of that journey for different things, right? You might be the caterpillar in your career, but you're the butterfly in your relationships. Or maybe you're deeply in the chrysalis in your relationships, and you are excelling and flying free in your entrepreneurial endeavor, right? Like it's so variable from person to person. So consider that you're exactly where you need to be in your journey, and it's going to be a repeating cycle. You're constantly going to be learning and growing. And the other thing that I really feel the need to say, because there's a lot of misconception in the manifestation world.
Yes.
a lot of people think it's just, I just need to align my energy and my thoughts, and then everything else is gonna be perfect and fine. No, there's two components. There's the aligned thoughts and energy, and then there's the aligned actions. You can't just think
That part.
yourself into your new life. You have to go and start taking the steps, the actions to make that life happen. They
Girl,
go hand
no,
in
that's
hand.
not what they said in The Secret.
And the secret is great. And there's so much like
They
it's
said you
that's
just do the law of attraction and just attract what you think about.
I know I have very controversial views on the law of attraction because I do it's like, yes, the energy and the mindset is at least 50% of it, but then the universe also has to see that you are willing to take the steps to receive it. Right. And one of that is like hands open wide. Hi, I'm here to receive, but then
Yes.
also starting to act like that's true.
Yeah.
That the thing that you've aligned with energetically and mentally, you're acting like it's already true. You're taking the steps every day as if that's already true. And then you suddenly find yourself there and, voila, manifestation. But it's the two components. And I can't help but wonder in some cases if teaching only half of the truth of manifestation isn't a way that a lot of people have made more money because people are like, well, why isn't it working?
You know what? That's a topic for another time because I'm
Mm.
telling you, that is the one. Because
Hmm.
it's gatekeepers in this community, and this is one of the things that I strive to
Yep.
against. Like I'm not gatekeeping. I don't want to gatekeep. I want to tell the truth. I want people to know,
Yeah.
and that's something that I saw in this community, but I didn't see it in the beginning.
Hmm.
It took me a little while of being in the community to start really seeing it and seeing what you just said.
Yeah.
It's like when you do master classes and stuff and people give you half of it,
Hmm.
that type of stuff. I'm like, no, just give it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, it's like I believe in giving, I'll give you the wisdom that I have. And then if you want to pay me to come work with me specifically on something and get all of the one-on-one support, cool. But yeah, a lot of the things that have been taught by, business coaches and whatnot, which is why I'm like, I'm not a business coach. I have no desire to go there. Yes, I can work with that stuff if someone's working on another issue, but I'm not gonna go sell myself as a business coach because so much of that is this is the method, go and implement it. Right. And we see that in spiritual communities. We see that in so many different domains of life. Here's the framework, go apply it. Oh, it didn't work for you. Well, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
That's where that alignment piece, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like what's actually right for you and
Yes.
how do you move forward in your energy in an aligned way that you're aligning your energy and your thoughts with what you want and you're taking actions to make it happen. And then it can happen. But if you're like, oh, I don't believe I can make this work, well, then it's not going to work. And if you're not actually taking the steps to make it work, then it's not going to work. Like
Right.
we need it all.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you know, people are quick to want to just think our way to abundance. That's
Hmm.
we just want to think our way because that's where we want to be. It's like I think my way to abundance. No, you got to do some things too. You
Well,
know,
and
maybe have a product or maybe have a service or, maybe do some affiliate marketing. There are so many
yeah,
things that you can do,
yeah.
but just like you said, as you get the guidance on it, that stuff will flow to you if you're open to it.
Yeah. And
You
the
know,
question that comes up for me there too is like, what does abundance actually mean for you, the person
for
who's
you.
contemplating this? Because for me, abundance is not going on a vacation to Bali. I have very controversial views on this, I am sure, but I don't really feel the need to go to tourist locations that unfortunately often end up damaging the indigenous cultures and wildlife. Like, I have no interest in that. I would rather travel locally. So I don't need as much money because I'm not going to go spend, 10 grand on a trip to some foreign location unless it is very much planned and I have figured out how to make it eco-friendly because that's my value, right? So what are your values? What actually is in
I
alignment for
love that. I
you?
love that. I
Because
love that. I love that.
yeah. And
You know,
so
I
we're
think
asking the wrong questions sometimes because
it,
we're in this one size. Abundance means you've got tons of money, you got a great car, you got a big house.
but does
That's not
abundance,
abundance for
I was gonna
everyone.
say, does abundance mean also that you feel good in your body?
Hmm.
Is that, to me, that's abundant.
Yes.
It's like I feel good in my body. Yes, I'm abundant.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
because that is something that I value. You know, I'm
Right.
almost, I'm on this side of 50. So, I value that. You know, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to, live in anybody's home or anything except for my own,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff. And so, and I think about it in this frame, like for me, one of my highest values is freedom.
Hmm.
And so when I look at that and I started to really open it up and really see, what that meant for me, in all the areas, and really just start diving into that because I was like, I need to be free.
Yeah.
And what I realized too is when I didn't feel free, then I felt other things, like pain
Hmm.
and stress and all of those things. And so but that was a thing that I had to get to, like where I just actually sat down and I said, what's important to me? Freedom and intuition are definitely important to me, both of them.
Yeah.
Freedom is the highest. And there's something about that. And I think about it and I really truly believe that one of the things is because of ancestry,
Yeah.
because I don't know, like I know other people, I know a lot of people that, have, different ideals and stuff like that, like yours, the eco-friendly and stuff, and for me, freedom is like the highest. And I didn't realize it took me a while to deconstruct that and actually understand what
Hmm.
that meant for me and why it meant that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I think that is absolutely one of the best things is to discover and to see what it is that you're in devotion to. What is it that you have to have in your life? You
Yeah.
know?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to ask this last question that I always ask. If it was something that you could change in the world, what would that be and why?
Oh man, I know I said something so good in the last episode that we recorded because I remember you being like mind blown. Oh my gosh. I think what I said is I would change human greed
Yeah.
and I would make it so that we are not operating under this, us versus them mentality of like if you have it, then I can't have it, so I got to take it from you. No.
No.
If we understood the abundance that's available here on this planet and we were able to unhook from this matrix of, compulsory productivity and capitalism and patriarchy and all of that and just get down to we're all humans having a human experience and there is enough for all of us to be taken care of,
Yes.
everything would be so different. We
Yeah.
literally have the means, and even if it's money, there's enough money in circulation that everybody could be well taken care of.
Yes.
And
I
there's plenty
agree.
of space and land and water if we don't destroy it all, right? And that's where the human
Absolutely.
greed comes in. And that's why we've got to get
Absolutely.
rid of it.
I love that. That's I always say this, but that's a whole new answer as well. Because nobody actually has said that. Every time I ask that question, people say different things. And that's why I keep asking it because
Mhm.
I think it's so interesting, because I had one person that told me nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's quite interesting, and she explained why she said that. And so I was like, all right, that's pretty good. And other people that say, somebody else I think said that they wish they would teach like mindfulness in the schools.
I used
I
to.
was like, I'm sure you did. But you know what happens there? So many people are walking away from that career, and
Yep.
so many people that are good, and that cared, and
Yep.
all of that are walking away because it's so toxic.
Yep. Unsustainable.
Yes. And so that's a thing. But all right, so we're gonna wrap this up and land this plane. Thank y'all for hanging out with Safrianna and me. We have had such an amazing conversation, as we always do. And I just want to thank you for joining us because this has been an eye-opening conversation. She gave some nice gems and some tips. So if you don't take anything away, take away this. Gem.
What gem are we taking away here?
The one you're going to share.
What gem am I sharing? Oh gosh.
The last gem.
My last gem. My last gem is to be fully yourself as much as you can, and to know that if you do not feel like you can show up fully as yourself, first look within and ask why, and then look outward and see who is not okay with you being you, because those people, it's time to walk away.
That is so powerful. All right, so there you have it. The last gem for my guest, Safrianna Lughna. She is an amazing, beautiful spirit, a writer. She does all kinds of things. I don't know, are you still doing sessions or you're not
Yeah,
doing?
I still see clients, and I am focusing on writing books and putting my word out into the world. But yeah, absolutely. If someone feels called to work with me, I'll be here.
All right, so you can find her. Her details will be in the show notes. So you can find her in all those places and everywhere she's at. And of course, she's Googleable as well. So you can Google her too and come up with her website and all these things and wherever the place that she hangs out. So again, thank y'all for hanging out with us today. It's been such a pleasure, and I count it as a gift. So make sure that you are liking, sharing, and subscribing wherever you're watching this, and make sure that you tell your friends so they can come and watch too and listen as well. And if you are a spiritual entrepreneur looking to get your message out and you would like to come on Straight Outta Savannah and talk about it, I would love to have you. Reach out to me on whatever platform you are watching or listening to this, and let's do this thing. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye now.
Thank you.